The reason most beginners stay stuck isn't because they're not watching enough videos. It's that they're watching the wrong ones. Content made for experienced music makers is actively slowing you down from making your own songs. Here's what you actually need to be doing right now. The problem isn't that you're not watching enough stuff. It's that you're watching the wrong stuff. Advanced content is actively working against you. Here's why advanced tutorials actually hurt you. They assume you already have the foundation. They assume you already know the basics of music. So what exactly do absolute beginners need first? You need to know the basics of musical timing. You'll hear this referred to as rhythm. This is so that everything you make sits right within your song. You might hear terms like metronome or beat. This is what allows you to make your song actually a cohesive song that your listeners can keep up with. Next, you need to know how notes work and what makes them sound good together. You need to know the basics of a keyboard. You don't need to learn how to play the piano. You don't need to become the next Beethoven or anything like that. You need to know what makes a piano make sound and how to use that in order to create your own music, whether it is on an actual piano or in your music creation software. Then you need to learn how to translate the keyboard information into the actual elements of a song and what these elements are. So chords, melody, bass line, and drums, knowing what those are will get you very far in creating your first songs. And then number 4 is, and most importantly, after you learn the basics, is how to make decisions on your own and not just copying what someone else did. It's one thing to use a song as inspiration, something from your favorite artist. It's another to just copy them outright and claim it as yours. That's plagiarism and illegal if you claim it as your own without giving proper credits. But regardless, being able to make those decisions is what's going to allow you to take the ideas that are up here and turn them into something real. Compare this to creating someone else's idea rather than your own. Plus, if you don't know how to make the decisions, you'll just be throwing the elements around and creating noise without knowing why the noise makes the sound that it does, and without knowing how to troubleshoot if there's anything that you just don't like about your song. Here's where I fell into a big trap when I was first starting to learn music production, which is making music using a software, what other beginners I've talked to experience as well. When you watch advanced content too early, you're not learning. You're not going to somehow grow your skill tree to level 10 just by watching tutorials. The more tutorials you watch, the farther in the hole that you go. I watched hours and hours, probably 20 plus hours of tutorials before I seriously started making songs. And I had all the notes. I have notebooks. Hold on, let me see if I can find one. I have notebooks like this that are just filled with music production and music making notes and tutorials for more advanced topics when I hadn't even gotten a song idea into the software. And when I got into the software, I'm like, I'm going to be an expert in this. I am going to sound like my favorite artist. And then I was clicking around and I had absolutely no idea how to apply the information that I had consumed. So what did that lead to? Like frustration and giving up way too soon, because my expectations were too high for the activities I was doing. So at that point, when you're watching tutorials and you're stuck in tutorial jail, you're depending on watching the tutorials to give you that sense of accomplishment. Like, hey, I learned something new. I'm finally progressing in my music journey. No, it's just a feeling. And you are dependent on that feeling in order to feel like you're making progress. And sadly, you're not. And it took me too long to realize that when I did this, I was not making the progress that I wanted to. Now, here's what to do instead. Don't watch a bunch of advanced tutorials. But what do I do instead? Start with the basics and actually understand them. I'm not talking about rote memorization like you're studying to regurgitate the info on a test. Rather, I mean internalize the information. Now, how do you do that? Now, you'll need to watch a tutorial or two in order to learn the basics of a keyboard. I actually have a musical basics video that is linked up here that you could check out that goes through what you need to know to get started. So you could click on that. And in order to internalize the info that you learn, you need to apply it. So once you learn something, if you're learning what a note is, you either go to a virtual keyboard if you do not have a full-on piano like this, or you can either use a piano if you already have one. But if you're just getting started, more than likely you will not have a keyboard, and that's okay. There are virtual keyboards that I use for teaching that are more accessible and totally free to use. So when you learn a note, you practice that note on that virtual keyboard until you understand, oh, so this is what this note does. There are things that I've learned that I could not have gotten from tutorials. Rather, I got them from actually applying the info in the tutorials. And by doing that, I was able to connect the dots between different concepts that in a way that's unique to my brain. And this is the step of internalizing it so that knowledge becomes a part of you. And once you start to internalize that info and you hit another roadblock, that's when you start to add on. That's when you're like, oh, I need more information. And you're like, oh, there's a gap in my knowledge. That's when you start to look up that next tutorial. And then you stop where you're able to actually apply the info in that tutorial. And the cycle keeps going. This is how you grow, and this is how you move forward and get out of tutorial jail, because it sucks. I get it. And if you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and actually get started the right way, I put together a full program called the Music Starter Lab. It takes you from zero music experience to turning your song ideas into something real in about 3 to 4 weeks. It teaches you everything you need to know to get started in the right order and keeps you from learning the things you don't need so that you're not left lost and frustrated and overwhelmed, that you're missing the wrong pieces and you're not making progress with the information you have. You'll utilize the messy music maker method that I've developed for beginners to help them get moving faster. And it goes deeper than anything I can cover here on YouTube. Go ahead and click the link below and enroll today.